Friends, in this tutorial I am going to show you how to load a dynamic link library on runtime. There can be cases, suppose your program is running, at that time you need to load a dynamic link library. So how can you do that? You can do that by using a load library function. We will create a DLL file and then we are going to create one application, and then I am going to load it using the load library function, and then I will call another function get proc address, so that will return you the function address, and using function pointer we can call that function. So let's see how we can do that. So let's start with Visual Studio and create a DLL project first. Just say Control Shift N and create a new project. So let's say this DLL will return even or odd number. We will pass a number and it will return whether it is an even number or an odd number. That is a very simple example we are going to do. Now let's add a class to it. The class name and the file name need not be the same. It may be different also. Just for convenience, I am using the same name as the file name. It's not required actually. So let's add a public function here which will return a string and check even, odd, and let's give it a number. This number will be checked for even or odd, and need to include the string itself. Now we need to export this function. Let's do it in the CPP, and first include the header file. And one more thing we will do is we'll put that inside the extern C. Just put two underscores and then declaration specific DLL export, because we are going to export this function, and the function returns a string. Okay. Okay, so this is my program for the DLL, and this function will have the code to check whether the given number is even number or odd number. If it is an even number, it will say the number is even. If the number is odd, it will return a string saying the number is an odd number. So we are going to compile this. It should work for you guys. I have some settings, so every time I need to go and disable incremental linking. Doesn't matter for you. Build it. Oops, we created an exe by mistake. We have to create a DLL. So let's just go and change the settings from here itself. No need to go and start making a project again. Just change the configuration type to DLL and build it. So the build is succeeded. Now you will get the DLL file here. By default it will come into this debug folder. Just copy this DLL and suppose I am a vendor and I have written the code to get the even or odd number. So I don't want to give the whole file, the CPP file and the implementation, how I have implemented the code to check whether the number is an even number or an odd number. I just want to sell my DLL. I will give this DLL to the person who wants to purchase this functionality, and I will give him how to declare the function, whatever function I have written. Its prototype I will give him, so he can just create a function pointer like this, function pointer for this function with return type string, and he can pass a number inside the parameter, and whatever he will get whether the number is an even number or an odd number. So I will give him the DLL file. So let's say I'll copy this DLL and just paste it somewhere else. uh, my documents, let's say, okay, I have a folder called my DLL. I'll delete this old one. I'll paste this DLL. So now we need to load this DLL. Now my work is done. The vendor's work is done. Now the vendor has sold this DLL to the client. Now we have to create a client project and we have to make use of this DLL, and we will call the function. That function will create decide whether the past parameter is an even number or an odd number, and return the proper string value, and we are going to display it on the console. Right now we are going to do that. So let's start with an application project. Client project, and we are going to create a console application. Let's have a main.cpp file. Okay, now we are going to use some Windows APIs, so we need to include this header file, windows.h. The very first thing what I will do here, I will load the library using LoadLibrary function, and the LoadLibrary function returns an instance, h instance. Now we need to give the path as a literal. So the path to the DLL is this, and the name is my DLL.dll. So this is the path where my DLL is located, and once the DLL is loaded, once the dynamic link library using load library is loaded, it will give the location where it is. So it will give a memory address from which place we can get the function address using get proc address. So if it is null, it means that we are not able to load the library. So let's do a null check here, and let's display a message. Could not load the library. The next thing what we have to do is uh, to resolve the function address here. So to get the function address, we create a function pointer. Okay, and using the function pointer, we call the function. The function address we will get using a function called get proc address. So this is the function which will help me to get the function address. So let's create a function pointer first, using type def. We know the prototype is it is returning a string, so type def return type and star function pointer, and then the parameter what we are going to pass, the type, that is integer we will have to pass. So here function pointer will create fn equals to get proc address, and it needs the DLL instance. So after loading the library, whatever is the return type, we need to give it here. So that is h instance, and the next is the procedure name, means the function name. So the function name is provided by the vendor. I know the function name. The function name is check even or odd. Okay, and we'll cast it back to function pointer type. So now we will get the function address if everything goes fine. Yes, here if everything doesn't go fine, we will, let's return it. Let's return failure, exit failure. Actually this is nothing but integer value. Exit failure and exit success is defined in stdlib.h. So now if we are not able to resolve the function address, if we get a null value, again we will return exit failure here, so that it will not proceed and do any next processing the next line. And let's display a message to the user on the console that we are not able to locate the function. Okay, but if it is not null, we have got the function address. So the next thing what we have to do is that we have to call the function, and we know the function needs a parameter as an integer, and it will return whether the passed value is an even value or an odd value. So let's ask the client itself, let's ask the user itself what number he wants to check for even or odd. So we will do using the console. Now how to call the function is okay, the function is returning an integer value. So the result, whether the result is an even or odd, it is in a string, so we will get it using the function by calling the function, and we will pass the value here. So this line will call the function in the DLL. Okay, and the next thing what we are going to display on the console is the, let's say the DLL says some message. I think message will be better here. Let's put this so it looks better. Okay, so okay, requires its string class include it. Right, now finally we will return, better than returning this 0, we will return exit success. That is a macro. Success, that is 0, exit failure is 1. Okay, so now let's run this. Let's see, need to disable this every time. So now the build is succeeded, and yeah, one thing we have to do, we have to free the library after all the work is done. Let's call free library here, instance, and now let's run the program. Let's see what is happening in our program. Now when we say load library, the library is not loaded because, let's see what is happening. Okay, yes, I got what is the problem. The problem is that the DLL name was not correct. So let's give the DLL name. Now let's run the program. You need to take care of these small things. There may be some small mistakes you can do, but this actually doesn't matter. But try not to do small kind of mistakes. It can trouble you. Okay, so this means that the DLL is loaded. Now it won't go inside this because the DLL is loaded. Now the function pointer, it will get the procedure address, means it will give the function address, check even or odd. So the function address we have got, and you can see it, this function has a parameter that is getting passed as constant. Okay, now we are going to ask the user which number you want to check. So I want to check 26. So we are going to pass 26 here, and we have got the message, the given number is even. After everything is fine, the DLL says the given number is even. So that is the way how we use a DLL, how we load a DLL, and how we get the function pointer. Using function pointer, how do we call the function? Let's do it more clear. Let's make it more clear for you guys. Okay, we will load the DLL project, and we will show how it is getting called, the function. So the project name is get even or odd. Okay, and we are gonna put a breakpoint here, and let's run my application.